Like every morning, Daphne went to her favorite local cafe to get her coffee and breakfast sandwich. She left the cafe after she'd paid. A few minutes later, she returned, looking anxious, because she had forgotten her wallet. Strangely, it was nowhere to be found. She called the police to report the incident. Nobody had left the store, so the thief was still there when the officer arrived. He started questioning everyone. Jenny, the cashier, said that Daphne was a regular customer and she had known her for a long time. So, she would never steal her wallet, and she didn't see it after Daphne had paid. Andre was a tourist visiting the city for the first time. He said he'd come to the cafe because he'd wanted to try their famous muffins. She claimed he hadn't seen the wallet. He was busy trying to pick what type of muffin he should get at the time. And Harry worked as a store clerk. He said that he'd come there to grab a coffee, and he didn't see the wallet because he was pouring milk into his coffee. So who do you think stole the wallet? It was Harry, the store clerk, or should I say Harold. Do you see his name tag? He lied about his name when he ordered his drink. Also, even though he said he was pouring milk in his coffee, as you can see, it doesn't have any milk in it. Jessica was an aspiring actor, and she had a big musical theater audition that day. She left her house early in the morning to make it on time, but she had forgotten to take her sheet music with her, so she had to drive back. When she walked in, though, she saw her roommate lying on the floor unconscious. A nurse was standing beside her. She explained to Jessica that her roommate had been poisoned, but luckily, she'd had enough time to call an ambulance before she passed out. Jessica immediately realized something was wrong. She thanked the nurse for helping her friend and asked her if she could get her a glass of water or anything else. The nurse agreed, and Jessica hurried to the kitchen. There, she called the police saying, "There's a fake nurse in my house. She poisoned my roommate and tried to rob her." How did Jessica understand that? When she arrived at the house, there was no ambulance car in the driveway or in the street. And it's not like paramedics started using Uber. And you might have also noticed that the paramedic bag the nurse was holding was slightly open, and Jessica's roommate's jewelry was dangling out of it. Anna and Catherine are both influencers, but take a look at the latest photos they posted. Which of these ladies do you think is richer? Catherine is richer, of course. Just look at the number of likes on her photo. She has 27,907 likes. Anna, on the other hand, has 9,837, which means that Catherine has way more followers and must be earning millions. Annie managed to buy presents for everyone except her dad. She knew what everyone wanted, but her dad was kind of secretive and not the talking type. He was also not great with technology and never bought anything online. So there was no way she could sneak into her dad's computer and check the saved items in his shopping cart. But he always liked to make lists in his little notebook, and Annie was sure she might be able to find a wish list there. So she sneaked into her father's office one day to look for the notebook. It was nowhere to be found, but his study table had a locked drawer. She looked for the key around the room but couldn't find it anywhere. That's when 2 different sticky notes attached to 2 different books inside the bookcase caught her eye. The first note was attached to a psychology book and had P5487TH written on it. The second note was attached to a detective novel and said P21320TH. Annie immediately knew what the notes meant. Can you guess what she had to do? She had to open to page 548 in the first book and find the 7th word on this page. Then, she had to open page 213 in the second book and find the 20th word on that page. The words she found were under and desk. The girl immediately looked under the desk and found the drawer key taped to it. James was walking back to his apartment from work late at night. Suddenly, he was hit on the head and taken away. When he woke up, he found himself in a small room. He tried to escape, but the door was locked with a padlock. James tried to look for the key, but there was nothing in there but a window with strange-looking metal bars. Suddenly, he noticed something. It helped him to find the key. Do you see it too? One of the metal bars is different from the others. That one is the key. Giselle was camping in the forest during a night when the moon was full. After midnight, when she was making s'mores by a fire, she heard a loud howl. There was a werewolf in the forest, and it managed to find Giselle's tent because it smelled of food there. Thankfully, Giselle was not in her tent anymore when the werewolf arrived because she had already run away. Hiding behind a tree, she watched the creature eat her s'mores and tear up the tent. When the werewolf left before sunrise, the girl returned to her tent, but everything was ruined. There was no more food or water left. Her cell phone had run out of battery, so she couldn't call anyone. She started wandering through the forest, and soon she came upon a witch's house. When she walked in, she saw the witch and another lady. Giselle asked the witch if she could send her home. The witch agreed to help her on one condition. She would only send Giselle home if she guessed her sister's name. If not, she would turn her into a frog. Giselle knew the answer, but how? Did you notice that the witch's sister is wearing the same necklace around her neck as the werewolf? Well, Giselle did, and there's a name written on the necklace: Abigail. Zoe went to a security guard and reported that her gym bag was missing. She said she'd gone to the ladies' restroom after her dance cardio class. She was fixing her hair when someone came up from behind and pushed her. So she didn't see the person who had taken her bag. The security guard refused to check the footage from the security camera that was outside the restroom. Neither did he file a report. Why? Zoe said she was fixing her hair, so she must have been looking in the mirror. If she was telling the truth about someone sneaking up from behind, she would have definitely seen their reflection. So, Zoe probably lied so that she could sue them. Luckily, the security guard was super smart. Several women went missing in a small town. James Darcy and his police team had been searching for months, but they couldn't find the place where the women were kept. One day, when Sandra was jogging, she decided to use another route to get home. As she was passing an old cabin, she heard screams coming from its basement. She immediately called James Darcy to report it. James and his team arrived at the place and busted in. They found there 3 women. They all said that they had been locked in the basement for months, but James knew one of them was lying. The first woman said that her name was Tammy and that she had spent almost 8 months in the basement. The second woman claimed that her name was Hannah and that she had been there for almost 5 months. The third woman told him that her name was Allison and that she had stayed there for about 3 months. Can you tell who the liar is? Allison is telling the truth. Look at her. Her clothes are dirty. Her hair is greasy. Her roots have started to grow out. She definitely hasn't seen daylight for a long time. The same goes for Hannah. But look at Tammy. She looks clean. Her clothes look new. Her hair and makeup look fresh, so it must be her who is lying. David spent his summer break at a science camp that was at a big space facility. When the summer break ended and school started, he told his friends from the science club all about his camp adventures. He said that at the facility, he had found a secret room. And in there was a time machine. He stepped into it and pressed some buttons to test if it really worked, and it did. He traveled through time and was able to talk to Nikola Tesla, Chuck Berry, and King Aragorn. But one of his friends immediately called him out for lying. How did he know that David made up this whole thing? Well, even if David actually managed to travel through time, he might have been able to talk to Nikola Tesla and Chuck Berry, but definitely not King Aragorn, because he is a fictional character. Okay, let's go. We'll start with checking your vision. All you need to do is read the word. Let's go. What's written here? It says vampire. Next one. Can you read it? Is meadow. Another one for you. Look closely. Right. It says snowflake. Next one's up. Are your eyes sharp enough to read it? This is meadow. Another one for you. Look closely. Yeah, that's waterfall. Now I'll be showing you some pictures, and your task will be to find all the hidden objects in each of them. Here's the first one. You need to find the 5 objects you can see at the bottom of the screen. Okay, here's where they are. Did you manage to find all of them? One more for you. Concentrate, and keep in mind, you can pause the video if you need it. Great. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I hope you spotted them all. Emmeline is an archaeologist working in Africa. She has accidentally gotten stuck in a cave, and there are just 3 ways out. Her map shows that if she goes left, she'll come to a pond that pulls everything in. If she goes straight ahead, she'll run into dangerous dinosaurs that eat everything they see. If she goes right, she'll find herself very close to an erupting volcano. Which way is safe? The road leading ahead. Dinosaurs went extinct millions of years ago. It was Dana's birthday, and her best friends had prepared a gift for her. But first, the girl had to find it. They gave her a note with a hint. Do you know how Dana can read it? It looks as if the note doesn't make sense, but it does. The text is mirrored. That's why she can read it with the help of a mirror. Let's see. So it says, "Your present is in the laundry basket in the basement." Cheryl had to sneak into her dad's computer to delete some emails she had accidentally forwarded him. Her dad had memory problems, so luckily for Cheryl, he always left notes with his passcodes. And indeed, one of such notes was right on his desk. Cheryl typed in 6989. Unfortunately, this passcode was wrong. Can you figure out the correct one? The note was simply turned upside down. Cheryl should try 6869. Reese was on vacation in Cyprus. One day, he saw a beautiful woman and asked her out on a date. The woman said that she would go out with him, but only if he guessed her name. He said it was impossible, and she gave him a hint. The capital of Spain, the capital of Austria, the capital of Romania, and the capital of Australia. Can you help Reese figure out what the woman's name is? The capital refers to the capital letters of these countries' names. So, S, A, R, and A. The woman's name must be Sarah. Yvonne has 4 frogs: Dot, Hoppy, Yoda, and Aristotle. One of them is black and green, and 3 of them are black and blue. Find out which color each of them is if Dot and Hoppy are of the same color, Aristotle isn't black and green. If Dot and Hoppy are of the same color, then they must both be black and blue, since there's only one black and one green frog. If Aristotle isn't black and green, then it's black and blue too. So Yoda is black and green. Honor and Alea are identical twins. After they were born, Honor had her birthday 22 times, but Alea only had her birthday 5 times. How is it possible? They were born on a leap year. Honor was born late at night on February 28th, let's say at 11:59 p.m. And Alea was born a bit later, at 12:01 a.m. It was already February 29th, which only occurs once every 4 years. Now let's relax a bit and try to guess some movies. I'll show you some combinations of emojis, and your task is to guess the movie. Ready? Here's the first one. What's your guess? Of course, it's everyone's favorite, Edward Scissorhands. Okay, here's the next one. You must know it. It's The Devil Wears Prada. Can you guess this one? It's Million Dollar Baby. Moving on. You just can't get it wrong. Obviously, it's Home Alone. There's no other story like this one. Can you guess this movie? This reverse transformation reminds me of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I have a couple more for you. I love this movie. Do you know it? It's Interstellar. And how about this one? What's your guess? This one is I Am Legend. In the afternoon, Detective Callum went to a little restaurant for lunch. He was waiting for his order. He overheard a waiter and a client arguing. The waiter claimed that the woman had ordered a special breakfast set and was now refusing to pay. The woman said she'd only ordered a coffee. Detective Callum knew who was lying. Do you? It's afternoon. No one serves breakfast specials at this time, so the waiter was lying. Miss Vidges called the police and reported that someone had broken into her house, tied her up, and robbed her. When police officers arrived, the house was a mess, and the woman was indeed tied to a chair. Still, the officers didn't believe that it was a real robbery. Why? If Miss Vidges was tied up and couldn't move, how did she manage to call the police? Her cell phone is too far away from her. An elderly man had poor vision. He lived with his son, Mark, because he needed assistance. One day, the man was resting in his armchair while his son was preparing dinner. Suddenly, Mark heard glass shatter. He ran into the room and asked what had happened. The window was broken. His father told him that some dark-eyed, dark-haired young guy had thrown a stone into the window and then had run away. Mark didn't believe his father. Why? The man had poor vision. He couldn't see the boy, and of course, he couldn't figure out the color of his hair and eyes. Miss Nebula Hayes left for vacation. While she was away, her home office got robbed. All the people whose fingerprints had been found in the office were interrogated. Celeste, Nebula's cousin, said that she'd been to the house just once because Miss Hayes needed her to send her a document from her office. Alyssa, the gardener, said that she'd been coming every third day to take care of the garden and plants. Cash, the cleaner, said that he'd come every Wednesday to clean the house. Who robbed the office? It was the gardener. Celeste and Cash had some reason to be in the office. so their fingerprints aren't that suspicious. But why would Alyssa come there? As you see, there are no plants in the office. In a VIP club, a rich lady was robbed. Someone stole her diamond necklace. The police visited 3 main suspects and interrogated them. Paxton said that he'd been at the party. He even knew what necklace they were talking about, but he had nothing to do with the theft. Reagan said that she hadn't noticed any necklaces. Gaia said that she hadn't been to that party. She was too poor to afford to go to such clubs. Who's the criminal? It must be Gaia. She said that she was poor, but look at her huge house and her fancy car. How can she afford all this if she's poor? Let's take a little break and check how attentive you are. Look, here's a ball and 3 cups. I'll put the ball here, in this cup in the middle. Your task is to watch the cups and then tell me where the ball is. Ready? Go! So where is the ball? Look, it's here. Did you get it? Okay, let's try this one. Now I have 4 cups, and I'll be moving faster. I put the ball right here. Watch it closely. So where do you think it is? It's in this cup. Let's make it super hard and see if you can get it now. 5 cups, and I'll move them even faster than before. Ready? So where's the ball? It's right here. Chloe opened her locker and found an envelope. Inside there was a calendar and a note asking if she wanted to go to the prom. The note wasn't signed. There were just several numbers at the bottom. 25, 30, 24, 11, 26. Can you help the girl figure out who asked her out? The calendar is the key. You have to find all the numbers in the calendar, and the first letters of the respective months will make up the name. So, 25 is circled in June, so it's a J. Number 30 is circled in April, so it's an A. 24 is in September, it's an S. 11 is in October, so we've got an O. And 26 is in November, N. The guy's name must be Jason. Hopefully Chloe knows him. Annika was poisoned, and Detective Callum was on the case. One of the main suspects was Marcus Jones, Annika's sister's boyfriend, because someone had seen them together. Good afternoon, Mr. Jones. I'm sorry to tell you this, but your girlfriend's sister was poisoned. Do you know anything about it? By the way, do you have any photos of her? Marcus said, "Oh, poor Annika. She's such a good girl. Yes, I have pictures of my girlfriend and her sisters. Here it is." The detective looked at the photo and arrested Marcus. Why? In the picture, there are 4 girls. This means that Marcus's girlfriend has 3 sisters. Still, Marcus somehow knows exactly which one of them was poisoned.